G'day and welcome back to another one. This is another kitchen session, I guess you could say, and another pickling session, but this is going to be a different type of pickle. So last time we did fermented pickle, this one's going to be like a vinegar pickle. Very different. Again, I learn a lot as I sort of watch some videos about these sorts of things. There are the sort of vinegar pickles that you can do, and a lot of people put them in the canning, go through the canning process, and that'll kill all the bacteria and everything around it, and that's when you put the vinegar and sugar and salt and all the herbs and spices in there. You can buy and the fermented pickle is the other way, where you ferment it over 5, 6, 7 days, and then you put it in the fridge. Now, the way you could differentiate them if you were in a store, at the grocery store, would be whether they're stored in the fridge or not. So when you ferment the pickles, you then stop the fermentation process by then putting them in the fridge. And also from the ingredients, it'll have only essentially salt and water, and then the rest will be herbs and spices. When you buy the vinegar pickles, it'll have water, salt, sugar, and vinegar. Generally, but it'll definitely have vinegar. If it has vinegar in it, it'll be the vinegar type, and it won't be the fermented type. But that's sort of how you know the difference. Anyway, today, as you can see, I've got a hell of a lot of pickling cucumbers. So we're going to do a different type now, and this is my mother's recipe, and it might even be from my grandmother. So this is yummy. I've made it last year. We've got so many pickles that I'm going to pickle it into, I think I've got a dozen jars over there, and then I'm just going to go and give them to friends and family. I think there's way too many for us to eat it here. So we'll pickle them up, and I think we'll donate them to a bunch of people. Anyway, I'll do a test on the fermented pickles we did the other day. So I've already hooked into the sliced fermented pickles, and they are yum. I love having them on sandwiches and burgers and stuff like that. So I have already tasted them, but we'll taste one now while we're all standing here, while we're all watching. Oh, and then the biggest one. The difference, I'll taste these ones next, is the spiced ones seem to be not as fermented. They're still quite briny, which is nice. I like the salt, but you can definitely taste all the herbs. Crunchy around the edge, around the skin, which is to be expected, but then the inside was slightly softer. This one, the full pickles. Yeah, that feels crunchy. Just even put it on the fork. So much more crunchy. And you have that bite that is much more fermented than that is just so much better. I think from now on I'm gonna pick them a bit smaller. If you leave them go a bit longer, they get too big, and then you kind of have to slice them to pickle them. But if you get them to them quick and you get them small, that is just so much better. Much more pickled. You get that bite, that twang, whereas these ones are a bit more briny. Anyway, 10 out of 10. That's the update on the pickles that I did in the last video. Today we're going to do a bit of a different recipe, and we're going to be using vinegar, a bit of malt vinegar. Maybe I might mix it up. Some of my homegrown chilies, turmeric as well is in the recipe. Put it all together, and we'll go from there. Alright, for this recipe, or for this style, you first cut them in half. Now, last time I did this, and the recipe that Mum gave me doesn't really tell you to do this, but yesterday my wife made a sort of an Asian style vinegar pickles, and it suggested cutting them in half and then using a spoon to sort of gouge out the centre bit, because that's where a lot of the moisture sits, before you then soak it in your salt to draw out all the moisture. And when we tasted the pickles after we had done that, they were really fresh, really crunchy. So I'm going to do a little bit of that, not all of it, but I'm just going to scrape out the centre bit just to get some of the seeds and the really moist parts out. So then when you slice it all up, it's nice and crunchy and all the moist parts come out of the center. So I'm going to take a bit of time now, and with the beauty of editing, we'll speed it all up. Actually, I might scoop out the center parts of the really big ones. The smaller ones, I might just slice up. So yeah, I'll get the centers out of the big ones. Alright, as you can see, I've only done, a quarter. So I'll get this done quicker. Done. It's that easy. So we've got the seeds and the centers out of the big ones, and I've just topped and bottomed the little ones. I don't think you need to do that. I didn't do it the first year that I did it, but they were crunchy when my wife made the Asian style pickles yesterday. The next step is to slice them up. Slice them up into however big you want them to be, and then put them in a bowl, cover them in salt to draw the moisture out of it, to dry them up a bit more, and then you can rinse it all off and put it all together. So I also am going to put an onion or two. I'll probably put 2 onions and a bunch of these homegrown chilies. So these are Hungarian wax chilies. They're really good for pickling. So yeah, we're going to put them in this too. Hungarian wax chilies, medium heat, but you can put whatever you like in it. And then we've got some herbs and spices to put in there as well. So right now, we'll start slicing them up. Alright, this is taking too long. I'm going to have to speed it up a bit. So see you at the end. Wow, tell you what. It is so much easier. I love that. It is so much easier when you just do. Oh, whoa! I can't be doing that too many times. I'll slow down with the special effects. But so I've just chopped up an onion. There's another onion sitting somewhere. We've got to do some chop up the chilies, and then we put salt on it all. We let it sit for an hour, and we rinse it all off, and then we put it in the solution into the herbs and spices in with the vinegar and the water and some sugar, and then we mix it all together. So let me chop up some chilies and another onion. These chilies aren't very spicy. They're quite mild. And everything here is out of my garden. The onions are out of my garden. The chilies are out of the garden. The pickling cucumbers are out of the garden. It's just the herbs and spices. Now, because the chilies aren't that hot, I'm probably going to keep most of the seeds. Depending on what you want to do, how hot you want it, you can keep as little or as many seeds as you want. But these are kind of medium heat. Some of them aren't even hot at all. I pickled a lot of them last year. Didn't have any heat. Some of them had medium heat. So I'll keep most of the seeds. Now, the next step is to add it all to a bowl with a lot of salt, significant amount of salt. Cover it all up. Now, Mum's recipe says to then cover it with water. I don't think you have to do that. I think I would like to just cover it with salt, let it sit there. All the water should drain out. It'll suck the moisture out of the pickling cucumbers even more, and with the onions and the chilies as well. And then we'll start making the pickling juice to put all over the top. So right now we'll add it all into the thing. I've got 3 big bowls here, and I'll just go bit for bit, like for like. Salt. Now, not like the fermenting one where it can't be this salt with the anti-caking agent in it. We're not fermenting it, so it's not sitting there for a lot of time. This is just for flavour and to draw the moisture out of it. So mix it in really nicely. So now that we've got the salt mixed in, we'll let them sit for about an hour, and all the moisture should come out of the pickle, and you'll see a lot of water, a lot of moisture in the bottom of the bowl. So we'll let it sit for an hour and we'll go from there. All right, let's start with the pickling brine. 1.5 cups of white sugar. One and a half cups of vinegar. And a teaspoon of the mustard seeds and the celery seeds, but I'm just going to use a good pinch. That's probably more than a teaspoon, but can't do too many herbs. And then a teaspoon of turmeric. Now again, I'm going to start with one amount of recipe, and then if it's not enough, seeing as we've got a lot, which I don't think it's going to be, I'm just going to do it straight away. I'm going to double up everything. There is no way that that is going to be enough. And there we go. So you bring this to the boil now. I've probably got another 40 minutes that I've got to wait before I rinse them off, let them dry, and then add it to this after it's boiled. So I'm just going to let this sit here for a bit until I'm ready to add all of the pickled cucumbers into the brine. So this now goes onto the boil when I'm ready. Okay, so we've got all of the ingredients in a pot. I had to do another full batch. I reckon I'm going to need even more, or at least a bigger pot. We then turn the heat on, bring it to the boil. Let it simmer for 10 minutes, let the sugar all dissolve, and then we add the pickles sliced up after I rinse all the salt off them, and then we let them simmer for a little bit, for as long as you really want, depends how soft you want them. So bring this to the boil, then we'll let it simmer for 10 minutes. Okay, so I put one bowl in a colander, and then I can just gently rinse it off. Toss it around, get all the salt off of it completely, and then I let it sit there for a couple of minutes, dry it all out, and then we're ready to put it in the simmering brine. This one has dried for a couple of minutes, it's been rinsed, and it's ready to go in. I'm not going to pour it in like this, I reckon it'll splash and it could burn me, so I'm going to take one hand off the camera and use 2 hands to pour it in. We'll see how we go. Alright, so they all went in there. We make sure they get nice and covered by the brine. And I've got 2 more bowls to get in there. So one will go in here. I'll put another half a bowl in here. We just got to mix it all in, make sure it's all covered. Bring it back to the boil, and then I like them kind of crunchy as well, so I don't cook them for too long. And yeah, we'll get the other 2 bowls in here. This is significantly more than I have made in the past. The reason I've made this one is because instead of the fermented one is because Josh and a couple other people, it's more palatable. It's a lot sweeter. It's a lot nicer. So I'll make a lot of this one in an attempt for everyone to eat it. But that is a lot of pickles. It's good. This one's covering it. There was enough in it, but I run out of sugar, so I couldn't make a full batch of this one. So I'm just going to have to keep turning it. I don't think it'll mean much, as long as it gets all covered, and then once you jam it into the jars, you'll be able to pour the brine over the top so it covers it all. But yeah, that is a lot. Let's see how they turn out. All right, the sun's starting to go down. Well, actually, it's very overcast, very rainy. It's such a beautiful day. But we're ready to start plating up. We're ready to start putting it into some bowls, into some jars, sorry. This is a little tool that helps you funnel it into the jar. It's got a wide hole in it, so it's still got enough room to go through. So I only cooked them or boiled them into this broth maybe for between 5 and 10 minutes. They do start to change colour because of the turmeric, but you can do it for as long as you want. I'm going to say it again for a third or fourth time. I don't think I've got enough jars, but I do have some big jars in there. Gets a little bit messy, but we'll push them down. But yeah, I've got some big jars in there that if I can't fit it all in these nice little ones, these are the ones that I'll give to other people. And if I can't fit them all in there, I'll make a big jar. At the end, when you've put all the pickles themselves in, you then top up every single jar with, excuse the mess, gets a bit messy, but you top up every jar with the brine. So we'll fill all the jars now. I've put a bunch of pickles in there. I'm now going to push it down as much as I can to save space. It also means that the brine will go a bit further as well. So whatever you can get in the jar, I'm just using a little teaspoon and just push it down nice and firm. And then you'll top it off with all the rest. So there you go. That's Mum's famous pickle recipe, pickled cucumbers. I'm pretty sure it's Nan's, but it was in Mum's handwriting, so I actually probably have to ask Mum if I can put this on YouTube. Might be a family secret, who knows. Now, in the recipe also it says to put green peppers and red peppers or capsicums. So I did that last year and it looks nice having the red colour in there, but you don't need to, you can put anything you like. So I put the homegrown chilies, homegrown pickles, homegrown onion, and then a bunch of the spices. So there you go, that's the second way to pickle your cucumbers. Last year I had to throw out a lot of the pickling cucumbers. I just had too many. So this year I'm going to probably do a bunch of these so I don't have to have so much waste. But anyway, thank you so much. The second time in the kitchen cooking up some pickles. Thanks for joining me. Come back and we'll do some more stuff. There's still so much going on. It was raining today so I couldn't get outside. But yeah, I've got the carrot seeds going crazy, corn are nearly ready to harvest, the tomato, I built a mad trellis over the top that I haven't shown anyone. So yeah, plenty of stuff still going on. So join me, get down there, subscribe, click that like button and join me on the journey. Let's go.